This is Miss San. The Daibos are extremely grateful to the G24 team for giving us the privilege to share our review of the Grumbler's Guide to Giving Thanks by Justin Crow. So this is chapter 1. Next it will be chapter 2, and then Bishop would round it up with chapter 3. All right, so this recording is a summary of chapter 1. All right, so first things first, I just want to say that have you heard the saying, don't judge a book by its cover? Yeah. So I was guilty of that because I looked at the title. I'm like, I don't grumble. I usually give thanks. So what could be new? And I'm happy to tell you that I was wrong. Very wrong indeed. So come on, let's learn together. All right, so chapter 1, gratitude's blueprint. In this chapter, the summary of it is that the author is trying to help us explore gratitude in-depthly. In that, it's trying to let us know that it is good. It is a good thing to give thanks. It is the right thing to do when we give thanks. In fact, the psalmist says in Psalm 92 verse 1 that it is good to give thanks to God because in giving thanks, we are confessing that everything we have and everything that we own, everything that we are or think we are, ultimately comes from God. So that is why it is great to give thanks. It's a good thing to give thanks to God. But the writer is saying to us that there's still more to giving thanks. That we cannot just stop there at focusing on the things that God has done for us. That our object of gratitude should not be the things or what God has done, but should rather transcend into who God is. Yes, exactly. Yes. So he broke that idea of transcending your gratitude into knowing who God is into 4 parts. So the first part is thankful. The second part is thankful to God. The third part is thankfulness to God expressed. And the fourth part, the final part, is thankfulness to God leading to joy in God. All right, so thankful. How do we feel about what we have received? How do you feel about what you have received? Yeah, because sometimes, in a practical sense, sometimes as Christians, we can ask for A and then we get B. And then you're feeling some kind of way, but you know in your mindset that you should be grateful. You should say thank you because, you think about it, others didn't get whatever, or somebody didn't get that, and at least I got this, so I should be okay with that. Yeah, and this just brings to mind, there's something, I just want to give an example. There's something my husband does. So he likes to get me flowers. Yeah, and I think I have told him numerous times that I don't like flowers. Like, they die. You buy flowers expensive, then I have to water it, and then it dies. It doesn't last, and I have no use for it. Like, what am I doing? I like gifts that I can use. Yeah, but he doesn't mind. He doesn't care. He doesn't listen. I don't know. He still goes ahead and buys those flowers. Yeah. So at that point, so that's the type of example I'm trying to give. So when you ask God for something and then you get something else, how do you feel in that instant? Do you automatically say, "Oh God, thank you," or do you ponder about it? God, I didn't ask for this. Why are you giving me this? I don't like it. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. So it is something like that. And the author is saying that Thanksgiving is not a spiritual contract where God does something for us and we acknowledge Him by what He has done. So God does something and automatically it's a giving thanks thing. That we should transcend from that stage and know that thanksgiving should be motivated by grace and gratitude and never through guilt or greed. Yeah, so in that example of my husband and the flower story, yeah, after I've grumbled and complained, and then later on I think about it, I'm like, he did spend money to get it, he did walk all the way to the city center to get it. At least he thought about me, so out of guilt, I go and say, oh, thanks, love, I appreciate it, yeah? So our thanksgiving to God should transcend that. My thanksgiving to my husband as well should transcend that, but that's another story. All right, so that's being thankful. And that's something the author is trying to open our minds towards. All right, so the next part is thankful to God. So most of the things the author said about being thankful to God is related to American culture, really, because you hear them, especially during Thanksgiving holidays, they say, oh, we are thankful, oh, thankful. You can even hear celebrities when they always say, oh, I'm very grateful, I'm a grateful person, and something like that. They never say, I am grateful to God or to Jesus or something. They just go like, oh, I am grateful. Yeah, so what the author is trying to say is that if you have received something, it came from someone, and we should be grateful, or you should be grateful to that someone who provided that thing. So it should not be a vague, oh, thank you. Yeah. All right. So the third part, thankfulness to God expressed. Yeah. So it is one thing to be grateful, and it is another thing to give thanks, because gratitude is what we feel, while thanksgiving is an expression. Yeah, so this is simply, and this is simple enough for us to understand, in that when someone gives you something, you can feel grateful in your mind and not express that gratitude, not express your feelings about it. But this part is saying that we should express our thanksgiving to God. So expression can be spoken, it can be sung, it can be written, or it can be through an offering. Even the Bible says in Psalm 107 verse 1-2, say, let the redeemed of the Lord say so. Yeah. All right, so the last part of it is thankfulness to God leading to joy in God. So this is the most awesome part of the book that ties up the first three together, or the point he's trying to drive across in the entirety of the book. So far we have talked about being thankful, thankfulness to God, and expressing our thanks to God. So this is where things get interesting. So for some of us, I believe that this affirmation point, we already know this thing, so there's nothing new to it. However, the author is trying to bring our mind to for us to open our hearts towards the giver of this gift. Yeah. So in our thanksgiving to God, we ought to look through the gift to learn more about the one who gives it. How does what God has done for me provide insight into his heart, into his character, his intentions, and his attributes in my life? Yeah, that's just mind-blowing, in the sense that, because sometimes I'll use my husband as an example again. If there are some things I can ask for, and he would not tell me he can't provide that for me or something, but maybe later in the future I see the stress he had to go through to provide that with the thing I had asked for. So it makes me think about, oh, wow, that makes me know him more in that sense. And that's what the author here is trying to tell us, that whatever you have received from God should give you an insight into who he is. So it's not just about the gift. How did he give you the gift? When did he give you the gift? In what scenario? What are the scenes? What are the circumstances surrounding the premise of the whole entire gift? So that the author is trying to let us, to remind us to sit down, think about these things, and then it's going to open something even broader than what we have received. It will give us an insight into who God is, and that knowledge would never depart from us. That even if you have asked God for a million things and he gave you 900,000 of them, even if he didn't give you the 100,000 or whatever, you would still know who God is, because you have been through that journey of how he provided those things for you. Yeah. So it gave examples of thanksgiving in the Bible. The first one was David. So in Psalms 103 verses 1 to 5, David thanks God for forgiving his sins, healing his diseases, saving him from death, crowning him with love and his tender mercies. Yeah. However, in verse 6, David goes on to express who he thinks God is based on what he has received. So based on what David received in the forgiveness of his sins, in the healing of his diseases, in saving him from death, is crowning him with his love and tender mercies, David can now see that God must be a righteous God. It must be a merciful God. It must be gracious. He is like a father to his children. He is slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love. In fact, these verses from 6 down reminds us of Exodus 34, 6 to 7. And those were the words that God said he is. That he is a father, that he is slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love. So that's in Exodus 34. So because of these things that God did for David, David is now reminded of who God said he is. Yeah. So that's an example of David. The next example is of Paul in Ephesians 1:16 verse 17, where Paul expresses thankfulness that leads to knowledge of God. Yeah. And then the last example he gave was of the Samaritan. Not the Samaritan, of the 10 blind men in Luke chapter 17 verses 11 to 19. Who so after he healed the 10 blind men, only one came back, and in giving thanks to God, he found Jesus. Yeah, because 10 were healed, they were probably grateful. That's a feeling. They may have been feeling grateful, but they never expressed their thankfulness to Jesus or their thanksgiving to Jesus. But only one came back and expressed his thanksgiving. And in doing so, he not only got a gift, he then knew Jesus. He then had a knowledge of Jesus through his gift of healing. Yeah, so that's chapter 1. As in summary, as we continue to grow in thanksgiving, we should endeavor to recognize God as our source of all we have, and we should be grateful for everything equally. We should reflect on what these gifts are telling us about our God, and because knowing and loving God is the ultimate goal. Yeah, so that's the summary of it. Knowing God and loving God is the ultimate goal. Thanksgiving is good, but at this stage, our thanksgiving should reflect who God is in our life. So finally, he gave some practice guides The first one is grab a piece, a pen, a pencil, or highlighter. And I like places in the Bible where you can say thanksgiving, gratitude, or praise to God. Underline these things you see about God in those situations that relates to you, that you can thank Him for. And the second one is to start a journal. Record things you see in the Bible, the attributes of God, and ways He's at work in your life. Oh, thank you very much. I'll see you in chapter 2.